Since the second half of 2022, many homebuyers have started to think about repaying their loans in advance, especially with the intensified volatility in the financial market. The returns on financial products such as stocks and funds have declined, and they are no longer advantageous compared to the interest rates of existing housing loans. Many homebuyers with loans have started to consider early repayment. This trend of early repayment has continued to this day. On May 30th, the National Bureau of Statistics released data showing that in April, the long-term loans of residents, home loans, decreased by 115.6 billion yuan from the previous month. The seasonal decline in credit data may also reflect the continuous increase of residents repaying their home loans in advance. Shares and posts about early repayment are constantly shared on major social media platforms, with comments such as "save the money for a car" and "refuse to work for the bank" outlining the benefits of early repayment. Zhang Ming is also a member of the wave of early repayment. In March of this year, Zhang Ming repaid the loan for the Tianjin house in advance by borrowing money from parents, friends, and consumer loans, saving nearly 1 million yuan in interest. At the moment of repaying the loan, I felt like I had gained a house. But the pleasure of making 1 million did not last too long. Deviating from Zhang Ming's plan, after peeling off the sugar sea, each layer of early repayment, it was followed by an increase in short-term life pressure and a sharp decline in risk tolerance. To clear the home loan in advance, several pockets were emptied. 33-. Old Zhang Ming has been a product manager at a domestic internet giant for more than 9 years. Her husband is also a programmer and works at a well-known online education company. In the past few years, when the internet and other industries were developing rapidly, Zhang Ming and her husband bought a house, each in her hometown of Tianjin and Beijing. Among them, the house in Tianjin was purchased in 2021. The reason was that Zhang Ming and her husband did not have a Beijing household registration at that time, so they bought the best school district house in Heping district of Tianjin as a must-have house for their child's enrollment. In the external perception, employees of major companies in first-tier cities in China often have high income and good prospects. However, in the past 2 years, continuous optimization and downsizing from internet companies to traditional enterprises have repeatedly impacted Zhang Ming's expectations for future life. In 2022, Zhang Ming also left the internet giant where she worked. Zhang Ming told Time Finance that the industry in which she and her husband are currently working has not been ideal in the past 2 years, and there are unstable factors in jobs. I always feel a bit uneasy inside. Although Zhang Ming's family is conservative when it comes to investing, they do not touch stocks or funds and only buy to bank guaranteed wealth management products with an annualized return of about 2.2%. So their investment income was not affected by last year's financial market volatility. However, since last year, the first home loan interest rates have generally dropped to 4-digit, while the interest rates for many people who bought houses in the past 2 years have approached 6%, and the widening estate rate gap and the mentality of waiting have prompted many homebuyers like Zhang Minta decided to repay their loans in advance. Time Finance learned that some housing loan interest rates issued since 2022 above 6%. Although the LPR, loan market quotation, interest rate, has fallen 3 times since 2022, some outstanding housing loan interest rates are still higher than the current average housing loan interest rate of about 4.3%. After seeing many cases of early repayment of loans, Zhang Ming did the math for herself. In July 2021, Zhang Ming borrowed about 2 million yuan to buy a house in Tianjin, with a term of 20 years, equal principal and interest, and an interest rate of 5.3%, with a monthly payment of 13,000 yuan. Due to the year-end bonus and other reasons, Zhang Ming had already made early repayments before. In July 2022, Zhang Ming was surprised to find that despite paying 16 万 yuan in loans that year, almost all of it was interest, and only less than 1 万 yuan was actually repaying the principal. After making partial early repayments and shortening the loan term, Zhang Ming's auto loan interest was reduced from nearly 1.25 million yuan to 40 万 yuan, equivalent to saving nearly 85 万 yuan in interest. After tasting the sweetness, Zhang Ming, who looked at himself as a little addicted, decided to repay the loan early again. This time, the goal was to pay off the remaining principal and interest of the loan of about 1.5 million yuan. For this reason, at the beginning of 2023, ZH and Miss family held a special discussion meeting on early loan repayment. When the in-laws heard that they could save a lot of interest, they decided to take out their coffin book to support it. But Zhang Ming's husband disagrees. He thinks that the environment is unstable now, and the children need to go to school. He should leave hundreds of thousands of free assets just in case. I tried various methods to persuade him. In February of this year, Zhang Ming emptied out several pockets and finally managed to scrape together 1.5 million yuan to pay off the mortgage in one go, including 30 万 yuan in his own savings, 90 万 yuan and 10 万 yuan from his parents-in-law and friends, respectively. There is also 20 万 yuan consumer loan applied to the bank. Zhang Ming made a rough calculation and found that paying off the mortgage can save nearly 1 million in interest, which is hundreds of thousands more than the previous partial loan repayment. Compare with the phenomenon of difficult to grab accounts and difficult to line up for early repayment of loans in the market. Zhang Ming's entire loan repayment process went very smoothly, and he only waited for nearly a month for the bank's approval time. Besides, there is no so-called queuing, and there is no high liquidated damages. No loan is easy, and the moment I pay it off, I feel like I have picked up a house. On the day the loan was cleared, Zhang Ming and her husband had a barbecue to celebrate. After repaying the loan, I fell into anxiety and had a dared not eat it after the pleasure of repaying the loan in advance faded away. The pressure swept over the couple. Although the mortgage in Tianjin has been paid off, Zhang Ming added a larger amount of expenditure every month. Every month, I have to pay back 3 万 yuan to my parents-in-law, 3.500 yuan to the consumer loan, and pay off the loan from my friends within 1 year. The monthly loan is as high as 2 yuan. And this is not counting the monthly expenses, such as children as schooling, interest classes, and Beijing housing loans. But the short-term pressure is even greater. Zhang Ming said with emotion. I have spare money, but now I have almost no money in my hands, so I can't afford an. Why risk? Zhang Ming once had thoughts of regretting the early repayment of the loan, and entered a state of anxiety and tension. And this subtle magnetic field also affected his family. A little thing can magnify, and it is easy to cause friction. Not only the mentality, Zhang Ming's quality, way of life and consumption concept have also undergone earth-shaking changes. Rationality, frugality, and minimizing expenditures have become the criteria for Zhang Ming to measure all consumption expenditures, and he even laments that he has become stingy. What impressed Zhang Ming and the most was that once the whole family went to Haidilao to eat hot pot. While waiting for a seat, Zhang Ming flipped through the menu. A serving of beef was more than 60 yuan, and a plate of cabbage was more than 10 yuan. Zhang Ming, although his father-in-law claimed that he was as a treat, Zhang Ming still insisted on going to the vegetable market to buy ingredients to eat hot pot at home. In the end, all the ingredients only cost 160 yuan. Zhang Ming's personal consumption is also downgraded. When it happened to be her birthday, she wanted to buy a watch worth more than 1,000 yuan, but she couldn't get it. When she mentioned it to her husband, he said jokingly, "Can you wear this?" Zhang Ming couldn't help crying. In order to increase income, Zhang Ming will choose to apply for overtime as soon as possible whenever there is an overtime subsidy during holidays. Waiting for the salary every month, the first thing to do when it arrives is to pay back the money quickly. When the pressure was overwhelming, Zhang Ming moved to sell the house in Tianjin. Because of the promotion of Beijing settlement, in April, Zhang Ming and her husband calculated the current settlement points and estimated that they would be able to obtain a Beijing household ration when their children were in grades 4 至 5, which meant that they could settle in Beijing without having to travel to Tianjin to study. In addition, the yearly mortgage interest for housing in Beijing is more than 10 万 yuan, while the annual rental income of houses in Tianjin is less than 4 万 yuan. After comprehensively weighing various pros and cons, Zhang Ming's family decided to sell the house. In May, Zhang Ming started to sell the house. Due to the advantages of the school district housing, it took Zhang Ming less than a week from the listing to the transaction. The total transaction price exceeded 5 million yuan, deducting taxes, agency fees, interest, etc. Fortunately, I can make a small profit. The sale of the house brought Zhang Ming out of the state of anxiety, and her life began to get on the right track. Zhang Ming has already made up her mind that after all the house sales money is in place, in addition to paying off the arrears of her elders and friends, she also plans to pay off the remaining mortgage of more than 1 million yuan for the Beijing house in one go. I have already made an appointment in advance for the repayment time of the Beijing mortgage, and now I'm looking forward to repaying the loan in full quickly, so that I can experience the feeling of picking up a house again. At the same time, Zhang Ming is also planning a family trip of overseas to thank his family for their hard work during this time. Recalling the living conditions after repaying the loan in advance, Zhang Min used the word down and out to describe it. As a member of the early repayment team, she experienced the AB side of early repayment. In June, street a few months, but also judge the anti-risk ability of your own mentality. Don't blindly follow the trend and overestimate your ability to resist risk. However, Zhang Min bluntly said that at the moment of selling the house, he did not regret his decision to repay the loan in advance. All the problems were solved at once, and there was still a surplus, which made me feel that the choice at that time was also right. At the request of the interviewee, Zhang Min is a pseudonym in the article.